air is thinner as we climb. We've only got one destination. Touch the clouds and gravity's edge, and the rest is our momentum. Does it matter if I can't breathe out there? I've got memories of where we began, and you would follow my silhouette that grows bigger towards the sun. I can see your darkened eyes, and you are still hiding your smile. Take my dismay, throw it away. When you reach me, I'll find a way. Look out for slopes down the devil's road. And when you reach me, I'll let you stay. How many times do we have to write our names in the sand so they don't wash away? How many times do we leave our mark? I've been worried if you'll be okay. I can travel the world in an instant, even though there's a fear of the distance. But for you I know I'll stay right here. And I can see your darkened eyes, and you are still hiding your smile. Take my dismay, throw it away. When you reach me, I'll find a way. Look out for slopes down the devil's road. And when you reach me, I'll let you stay. I don't want to miss you when you're sailing by. Please tell me you're on the way. I don't want to miss you once I've waved goodbye. So when you reach me, tell me you'll stay.
I can see the light shining through. Good morning, blinds open. I'm coming home to you. Soft with the weather, cool with the breeze. Flip through the pages of reality. Float like a feather out to the sea. Roam like a lion, living wild and free. Just like that, snap my fingers. Just like that, dreams get bigger. Just like that, paint a picture. Just like that, just like that, just like that. Just what you want, you have it. Just like closing, we can see the stars shining through. Good evening, blinds closing. It's just me and you. Soft with the weather, cool with the breeze. Flip through the pages of reality. Float like a feather out to the sea. Roam like a lion, living wild and free. Just like that, snap my fingers. Just like that, dreams get bigger. Just like that, paint a picture. Just like that, just like that, just like, cause what you want, you have it. Just like just like that. Just like that. Just like anything you want, you can have it. Whatever you need, you can grab it. Just like anything you want, you can have it. Whatever you need, what you need. Our backs against the wall. It seems impossible, but there's nobody else on by my side, standing with me to take this fight through the rise and fall. With our fearless hearts, we could beat the odds, and we could live for 1,000 years. We could be legends if we all go down. If our time is now, we could let everyone know we were here. Be legends. We dream so colorful. Oh, we love so strong. The world is relentless, the city won't sleep. It heart and soul brings you to your knees. We can face it all. With our fearless hearts, we could be ours, and we could live for 1,000 years. We could be legends. If we all get down
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Collegiate Star League's Fall Hearthstone season, brought to you by Blizzard and Twitch. I'm Nomo Dogan, and of course, casting with me tonight is Lucia.
Good evening, everyone. Hope you're all doing well on this fine Friday evening. And how are you, Nomo Dogan?
I'm doing pretty good, thanks for asking, as
Just
usual.
pretty good. You were doing excellent last time. What happened, man?
I mean, I'm doing about the same. I just want to have a little expansion on my vocabulary, I don't want to always be doing excellent. Sometimes it's just like, all right, pretty good. Sometimes it's awesome, and sometimes it's excellent, yeah.
Alright, so for our first series tonight, we'll be bringing you University of British Columbia versus University of Toronto. Little bit of a disappointment for me since, I'm Canadian and I don't know which team to cheer for.
Yeah, that is definitely an unfortunate conundrum. I'm not sure who I want to cheer for either. I mean, of these teams, a name that I definitely recognize is Silent Storm. He's definitely made an impact in the Hearthstone scene, had his strong performances in premier tournaments and the like. So it'll be interesting to see what he brings tonight, as well as the other players.
Yep. And actually, I guess I have to. I don't know. I don't just want to cheer for Toronto because I'm in Toronto. It's like there's so few Canadian teams, that I'd really like to cheer for all of them. But I've actually seen Emily play in a local LAN tournament that we have here in Toronto. So that was pretty cool. She made it to... she actually placed second in that tournament. So
Very
also
nice.
a pretty strong player is going up fourth. So potentially, if University of Toronto dominates this match, we won't get to see her play.
Or the other way around, I guess. But yeah, it all depends.
That
We'll
is
see
true.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Could go either way. And with that, I think we are about ready to jump into this first game. Definitely excited to see what classes the players bring tonight. As usual, hoping to see some shaman, maybe some rogue.
Well, especially with BlitzCon happening today, we actually saw a rogue versus shaman matchup. So, usually players, if they're watching pro tournaments, they'll be like, hey, this looks pretty cool. Maybe I can play that. So, maybe this is the time for a rogue or shaman player to show up.
For sure. Alright, looks like they have gotten in game. Go ahead and load it up here. Looks like we're going to have Myron on Paladin versus Fist Launcher on Druid. Now, this is a matchup that we've definitely seen a lot during this first season of the CSL Hearthstone series, or league. And usually this tends to favor the Paladin, but we've definitely seen it go both ways all throughout the matches that we've seen. And we do see that this is an aggro paladin, I guess, from Fist Launcher. Maybe not the standard combo druid. Maybe not the standard combo druid, but definitely has some aggro aspects.
I'm looking on my side and I'm like, I see a knife, a mini bot, and a true silver. How did you know, without seeing the mulligan, that it was an aggro paladin? And I'm here scratching my head.
Right.
And then, of course, you're like, combo paladin, and I'm like, whoa, what's a combo paladin? I guess there's a couple of those cards, right? Like, there's the +3 attack, Blessing of Kings. There's a couple crazy cards in there, but as far as I know, combo paladin isn't really a thing.
Yeah, combo paladin does sound like it'd be an exciting deck, though.
Hey, I mean, there's the new expansion coming out, so you never know. Actually, you probably do know. They already showed all the cards, so never mind. I'm pooping on my own party there.
I mean, some of them look interesting. And yeah, I think that'll be coming out on Thursday. I'm pretty excited for that. We'll actually probably see some of those cards in action next Friday, so that should be pretty awesome.
Alright, so not the best starting hand here for Fist Launcher. You really want to have, maybe the living roots, get those two guys out there, and then you can buff them up next turn with Power of the Wild. This way, he gets a 3-2 for 2 turns. It's not the worst case scenario, but, still, it's not the best start. Like, you really want to get a board full of minions and get that Savage Roar, that sort of thing happening.
Yeah, that definitely sets up for some massive damage output early on in the game, or just getting some favorable trades on board, especially if the Druid played something like Haunted Creeper or something like that. But in this scenario, we only see a couple of Power of the Wilds. I wouldn't be surprised to see another 3-2. Actually, that would get killed by the Shielded Minibot. This is actually a pretty difficult turn for Fist Launcher, I think.
Well, how crazy would it be if he buffed his Panther instead?
To 4-3?
Yeah, then it, the mini-bot can't kill it.
But, I mean, you could also just leave it in stealth. This way, I guess, okay. Okay, so he takes it out of stealth, does the 3 damage, draws a card off a rat to break the Divine Shield so that they at least trade. It is a 2-mana minion for another 2-mana minion, so it's a pretty even trade, but if Myron does trade here, then Fist Launcher will have gotten 3 damage in, so it'll be pretty good for him.
Yeah, I mean, generally that's why, people say Shielded Minibot is the strongest 2-drop. There's, other drops that do a lot of things, for example, like a Knife Juggler, but with the Shielded Minibot, I don't think there's any way you can actually just remove it with 1 card efficiently.
Yeah, that's for sure. There's definitely like very few ways to do it. Iron Beak Out is sometimes a good way to deal with it, but
you're still trading in,
cases.
Something usually.
All right, Myron does opt to take that trade, which I think is the right choice because you want this Knife Juggler to survive this next turn. And to be honest, I would like to see the Savage Roar just kill off the Knife Juggler here.
Well, that's yeah, I'm more along the Power of the Wild train of thought. I mean, obviously, you could just have it killed by a True Silver. Generally, the only bad case here would be a Muster for Battle, right? Because if you True Silver it, you're at least still tanking 1 damage to the face and eating up a True Silver charge.
I mean, a couple of minions could kill it off too. That is pretty unlikely though. But
he could go for it. He's got the Zombie Chow. He can use the Hero Power instead and the Shielded Minibot. So if he feels 25% lucky, he can go for it.
Yeah, I mean, the safe play, I think, would definitely be to just play the True Silver. That's what I'd like to see from Myron's side. But he could go big. Go big or go home.
If he Equality Minibots, that's a 50% instead of 25% chance.
But then you put your Knife Juggler. You put your Knife Juggler at 1 HP as well, which could be pretty brutal.
Of course. Just saying, though.
Yeah, it's an option. Does opt to True Silver, though, which definitely stifles Fist Launcher's next turn here. You really don't want to play a Savage Combatant straight into a True Silver Paladin, but he doesn't have many options at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it is still 5 damage. Alternatively, if Myron, decides to trade his Knife Juggler in, he could pretty easily kill that off, but...
Yeah, he just needs 1 knife to hit. There's a good chance he plays 3 minions on this next turn because Minibot, Zombie Chow, Hero Power. So there's a very good chance he could just trade his Knife Juggler in and save his True Silver charge. Another Zombie Chow drawn here for Myron. Not exactly what you want to see at this point in the game, especially when you already have 1 in hand and you're against a Druid.
Would have been nice, a turn ago, so he could have played Minibot and the 2 Zombie Chows, and I think that ups it to 50% of it killing off the Panther.
Yeah, it's definitely a higher percent. Yeah, something like that.
Believe the math, okay?
I believe it. I just don't feel like doing it myself right now either, so... Yeah, it looks like we are gonna see the True Silver kill off the Savage Command. Shielded Minibot comes down, and Myron's just deciding whether or not he wants to play both of these zombie chows or one and a hero power.
I'm thinking 1 plus a hero power is probably okay.
Yeah, I like that line of play as well.
Otherwise, it's like literally, you've done 0 damage to him.
Yeah, because those zombie chows will just die off and heal him for a bunch, but then again, I mean, you're probably gonna play that other zombie chow at some point, but you could also just be looking for knife juggler value off of it, because this way you get more juggles over time, and the zombie chow, when he plays it, if that knife hits a minion, that could equal some value. It's kind of like a 2/3 elven archer, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the paladin has, a very good control on the board, and I think, with the quality, with the Iron Beak, you can almost just, you can deal with anything that he plays, as well as just kind of pushing a lot of face damage. You don't have to worry about, like, 1 Ancient of War or 1 Druid of the Claw sort of taking you out of the game, and wow.
Yeah, I mean, I still would have liked to have seen this a few turns ago. I don't think it's all that important to save Savagor for the combo. Like, I think it's fine to use it to kill off a Knife Juggler, which is going to deal a lot of damage that you don't have another answer to. But it's still an okay play at this time. And of course, at that point, there was no way for him to know what Myron had in his hand. He was just taking his chances there. But definitely does not feel good to be using the Savage Roar like that at this point when you should be playing some big minions as a druid.
I mean, Myron now has this idea, does he want to play that zombie chow? He's taking his opponent pretty low.
Well, what I'm thinking with this zombie chow right now is he didn't kill the other one yet, and if he kills one, he probably can't kill the other, so what the heck, just play both, get as much damage as possible onto the board, and hopefully kill off Fist Launcher pretty soon, because he doesn't have a whole lot of steam left in his hand. I mean, he has removal and a silence, but as far as pressure goes, it's going to be pretty difficult for him to finish his opponent here.
Alright, 1 zombie chow out of the way.
Yeah, Savage Combatant doing work there. That was pretty strong.
Could trade his Minibot and Zombie Chow in for the Savage Combatant. Piloted Shredder and Hero Power probably here. Would you Consecrate instead?
I don't think so. Mainly because you have the Equality in hand. Especially against a Druid when their turn 7's coming up. I really like to hold on to the Equality Consecration combo.
That's fair. You do have the Iron Beak Owl to deal with something, but I think too, just if you play the Consecrate, you can't play the Shredder, and
yeah,
Iron does need to get more things on the board, I think.
I actually like trading both the 1/1s and the Divine Shield here, because it plays pretty hard around swipe.
Oh, yeah,
it
that
keeps
is
your
true.
Zombie Chow in play, and your opponent doesn't gain that 5 health, so yeah, I really like to see this play here.
And that is exactly what Myron does. Oh, the Shredder placements.
Yeah, Shredder should usually be placed in the middle. I think it's 99% better. You know, there are those situations where you get a Flame Tongue Totem and it happens to put something in BGH range. Then that minion gets BGH, but on this board that's not possible because all these guys are small, so a little bit of an error there. But depending on what comes out of the Shredder, it might not matter.
Or maybe if you're playing against Priest, then, that makes a lot more difference in terms of shadow words.
Yeah, I think Dr. Boom is the best option here, playing to win. You could play to not lose or play to not take damage this next turn, but I think in the long term, your best chance of winning this game is just getting that Dr. Boom out on the board right now.
So let's see here, he's got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. He has 13 damage, but you also don't want to leave that many bodies up for the Druid. Although he won't have combo next turn unless he has Savage. Unless he has Innervate. He's used one Savage Roar already. But again, you're thinking, if he used that one so easily, then he probably has another Savage Roar in hand.
Yeah, I mean, he does have combo here, so he'll be able to finish off his opponent in a couple of turns probably, but he's just got to survive to that point and also get that damage that he needs on Myron's face. But then again, depending on what Myron does here, he might not have an opportunity to do that. Looks like Myron's going to be very disciplined to saving this equality. It's a little bit surprising to me, but I guess it makes a lot of sense because he is applying a solid amount of pressure. I mean, the Zombie Chow is still on board, so it's almost like Fist Launcher's at 10 health right now because Zombie Chow is probably going to die. Also, a Hero Power could put him to 11, but applying maximum pressure this way and making your board still very difficult to deal with because you didn't play equality. Like, that's another thing about playing equality here is it sets you up for a swipe. And swipe would just destroy you. He hasn't seen a swipe yet, so I definitely respect not playing the equality there, even though there's a scary 7-7 in play. It looks like Fist Launcher's considering the Wrath here. He definitely wants to save Force of Nature for the next turn, I think, but I don't know if that's an option depending on what happens.
I think this is... And depending on what he does with his boom, that could have been a misplay since a taunt could have shown up.
Well, I was thinking he was just gonna Force of Nature, but I guess that's not necessary. That is kind of overkill. You get to save it for next turn. Yeah, this way he goes up to 11. I like this.
It's good, but if there was a taunt...
Like a 1/4 taunt, like Silverback Patriarch, or...
Well, Silverback is 3 mana, but the Annoyatron he would not be able to get through. And is there anything else? There's the 3/2, and...
I feel like there's one more 2-mana taunt.
There
I
is.
just can't remember.
There definitely is.
Dang it.
As the Paladin says. Yeah, there's definitely one more. But... yeah, the Annoyatron would completely stop that plan, and I think would allow Myron to kill off his launcher there, so just a slight sequencing thing. You know, most of the time, like we saw here, it doesn't matter, but those moments when they count, like we saw a couple weeks ago, right, where the BM from the Warrior cost him the game.
Yeah, that was... Oh, man, that was so unfortunate. Are we going to see Myron use his equality here? Looks like he's opting not to. I mean, he already saw Savage Roar this game, but as we know, this launcher does have combo in his hand, and this is going to be lethal damage.
You just can't, you know...
But, I mean, from Myron's point of view, if he uses equality Consecration, he's only got True Silver and Iron Beak Owl left. I mean, at that point, his deck wasn't giving him too much because, you know, if I'm in the shoes of Myron, I'm thinking, if I use this Equality Consecration, he's just going to play a bunch more big minions. I'm not going to be able to deal with them, and then I'm just going to lose anyways. So I think it was definitely worth it to take the risk there so that it would pay off better in the long term. I mean, he did already see a Savage Roar, right? So it's pretty unlikely that Fist Launcher would be able to combo, but unfortunately, he did have the combo there. Takes the win for his team. Well played.
Yeah, with the knife there, though, it was such an awkward Savage Roar. Like, if there was something more on the board and he Savage, you know, for good value, like the 3/2 kills off something he has on board kills off something, you know, like, I would feel okay with that. But because that was so awkward, you're almost like, okay, he has to have a second Savage in hand. But... even, I think not using the Consecrate is okay, but just getting rid of that Dr. Boom, leaving something up with 7 damage just doesn't feel good. Like, if he couldn't... I guess he could kill his opponent next turn, so he wasn't too concerned, but... Like,
Yeah,
with the Iron Beak, right? With the Iron Beak, you can get rid of, you know, an Ancient of War, so you can just sort of go through and deal the rest of your damage. It just didn't feel like that was the safest play there.
Yeah, but definitely an exciting game that we saw there. both players having some pretty choppy starts, no wild growth from the Druid, and I guess Myron had a decent start, but he didn't really have any mid-game minions. He just had early game minions throughout the whole game, I think, besides a piloted shredder. So that was a bit unfortunate for him, but still, with the way the game played out, definitely a solid win for Fist Launcher. Takes it with the Druid for University of Toronto's Here We Go. That's their team name. I think we forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
Here we go.
It's a minion or it's a hero because. Do you
Yeah,
know which one?
Nunu. Nunu from League says
No,
Here
no,
We
no.
Go.
There's one in Hearthstone. It's a female voice, and she says, "Here we go."
Oh, it's Valera, the rogue.
Okay, all right. There we go. Between the two of us, we figured that one out.
A lot of people say Here We Go. There's just a lot of going to do, you know?
Definitely.
Lots of places to be.
So our next match coming up will be Force Dog versus Silent Storm. And as many of you know, Silent Storm is one of the default names suggested when you are creating a Battle.net account name. But also happens to be I would say professional Hearthstone player. I think he's been a little quiet lately. I mean, especially with BlitzCon going on, you know, other than the people who've made it through, nobody's really paying attention to the rest of the players.
Yeah. I mean, that Silent Storm player, I'm not exactly sure if it's the same one now. Now that you made me think about it.
It is.
This the same?
It is,
Okay.
yeah. He's in Toronto. He goes to the University of...
Okay, cool. Yeah, I know I've definitely played against him multiple times on ladder, you know, especially a few months back. But yeah, like you said, I think he has kind of fallen away from the scene a little bit, as some players do, but he's always a very strong player, brought a lot of interesting and innovative decks to the scene, and I'm excited to see what he has for us tonight.
And looks like
Yeah.
Silent Storm will be playing a Paladin deck, whereas Force Dog will be playing Freeze Mage, it looks like.
Yeah, Freeze Mage is something that we've seen a lot, along with Tempo Mage. I think it's an almost even spread over these past few weeks. It slightly favors Tempo Mage, I think, in the amount of each deck that we've seen. But Freeze Mage, definitely a popular choice in this aggressive meta, and I think it is the most known counter to Secret Paladin. At least, in my opinion, it counters Secret Paladin pretty hard. I think a lot of people have realized that at this point, and they want to use that to their advantage.
Yeah, I personally just find it to be such a slow deck to play that even though it counters, you know, one of the most popular decks on ladder, it's just so tedious to grind out. But for
Yeah.
tournament play here, you know, of course, that definitely works.
Yeah, I also think Freeze Mage is one of the more complicated decks. There's, like you said, it is tedious. It does play out slowly a lot of games, and so there are a lot of decisions that you have to make, a lot of very important ones which can decide the game. Like a lot of the time with Freeze Mage, you get to the point where if you mess up, you're gonna lose, but if you don't mess up, then you'll win like 90% of the time. Like when you get to that point in late game where you're just making these really, really key decisions and just trying to slowly eliminate your opponent from the game. But it's definitely a patient deck, and there's a lot of key decisions to be made, especially later in the game.
For sure. Looks like Silent Storm will be playing a mid-range Paladin. No secrets shown so far. And the Murloc Knight usually not played in Secrets Paladin, only so in mid-range. So pretty safe bet here that he is not playing Cancer Paladin.
Yep, I definitely agree with you there. And mid-range, it really depends on what tech cards you're playing. Like when it comes to the Freeze Mage matchup, it definitely helps to have something like Lay on Hands, something like Lotheb, but I don't know how popular those cards are these days. I wouldn't be surprised to see at least one Antique Healbot in Silent Storm's list, but you know, depending on the rest of the list, this matchup could prove itself to be extremely difficult because Mage has a lot of board clears and Paladin tends to just focus on making a big board.
Yeah, and I actually really like the tech choices here of having the two Defender of Arguses, people don't necessarily run that so much in mid-range Paladin. Of course, unfortunately here, it's not going to do too much against the Freeze Mage. I mean, you could get a couple minions out of a ping range or out of a blizzard range, but, overall you want something else.
Yeah. I mean, I would say it's better than something like Zombie Chow as a tech card, because Zombie Chow is one of the things that I am pretty happy to see as a Freeze Mage player. But when it's chipping away at armor, it's actually still getting some real damage on your opponent. Like in this scenario, when this Zombie Chow attacks Force Dog, if it does hit his face, like it's chipping away at armor instead of actual health. So it's not healing as much as it normally would, assuming it dies sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, if he hits the Scientist as well, right, then he has the option to sort of kill it off whenever, as long as Force Dog plays something out, and in that case, Force Dog would only gain 2 health from it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is the, original 2 health damage that the Zombie Chow did to Force Dog's face before the secret came out.
Yeah. It looks like we're going to see Mad Scientist pull another secret. It's always a good feeling as a Freeze Mage player to get both of your scientists to get secrets out of your deck, because sometimes you draw all of your secrets, as we saw on Wednesday, I believe.
Yeah.
Our Freeze Mage player drew all of his secrets and had both Mad Scientists in hand.
Hey, he
or
still
something
won.
Like that.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's just the power of the deck. If you don't kill Freeze Mage off early, or run them out of resources somehow with some sticky, resilient threats, then in the late game, it's definitely a force to be reckoned with.
A pretty bad hand here, though, for Force Dog. He doesn't have Doomsayer, has the Frost Nova, does have the option of Blizzard and Flame Strike, but he's still a couple mana away from that. The Heal Bot, not really useful at this point.
Mm-hmm. We're going to see the aggressive Argus come down from Silent Storm.
Okay.
I definitely like that choice here. You don't really want to muster because you already have a decent board. You'd rather just add this Argus to the board to build it up a little more. And you can use the other Argus and muster in combination later to build yourself a decent board again. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, the Antique Heal Bot would be finally useful here.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
yeah, definitely a good turn to use it.
Yeah, the question is, does he want to leave his opponent's board up and hitting him? The problem with the Frost Nova, again, is just there's no Doomsayer for him. So, is it worth it just to delay him a turn? The thing is, Paladin doesn't really have a lot of immediate damage.
Mm-hmm.
Burst damage, so, I mean, he has the ice block up as well, but you're not really afraid that, if you just play the Antique Heal Bot, anything, terrible is going to happen. But actually getting the Thorson out, it will let him play Flame Strike next turn, so all of these minions will be dealt with. And Silent Storm, being a very excellent player, he should know that and be able to trade off his smaller minions and leave his Shredder alone.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things you don't want to do...
Oh.
I mean, I guess he has another Shredder. I was going to say, one of the things you don't want to do is break open your resilient / sticky minions,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want to call them, the things with death rattles that stay on the board, because it sets it up really well for Freeze Mage to clear. But then again, I guess at this point, Silent Storm's just hoping that Force Dog isn't going to be able to clean this stuff up. He's really taking the plunge here to pop the ice block next turn, but unfortunately Force Dog does have a board clear. And yeah, it clears the board besides those 2-3 left off of the piloted Shredder.
Mm-hmm.
He does have a few ways to rebuild though, so it's not necessarily like he put all of his eggs in one basket. Murloc Knight definitely does a great job at building a board from nothing. And cards like that...
Nice.
Oh yeah. Ol Murkai is a great pickup here. Charge damage is always nice against Freeze Mage.
Yeah, the one thing that that Paladin does have going for it versus Freeze Mage is that it's able to constantly replenish its board with 1/1s, and unless the Freeze Mage, is going to spend 2 mana getting rid of that guy, you're able to kind of build up your board. And especially with that Murloc Knight we saw, that's 3 minions down immediately. He's already used his the one Flame Strike. So this is going to be annoying. Does have a Blizzard. It won't kill off the Murloc Knight. And again, Frost Nova without Doomsayer, you're just kind of like, okay. So we press pause for a turn. What else am I going to do here?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Imagine if Frost Nova worked like Frost Lance. You play Blizzard, and then you use Frost Nova to just deal 3 more damage to everything.
Yeah, that would be pretty strong.
But speaking of that, the Arcane Interlock does pull out a Doomsayer, so we got that Frost Nova Doomsayer.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what Force Dog wants to see here, and exactly what Silent Storm doesn't want to see. He has no way to deal with this.
Reverse Doomsayer and then BGH it.
Yeah, wow. There's no Murloc you can get, right? I mean, you could get another old Murkai, and that would be 4 plus a Cog Hammer. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yep, just opts to play nothing. I think that's the right choice here.
Goodbye, Murloc Knight.
Pretty rough. I mean, Silent Storm does have more pressure in his hand. It's starting to get late in the game. Freeze Mage is getting access to a lot of mana and a lot of different powerful cards. And it seems like the door is closing on the Paladin's chances of winning here by, killing the Freeze Mage off with his damage. As we know, Force Dog already has an Ice Block in play, and he has an Ice Barrier in hand, as well as a Frost Nova, a Blizzard, a Frostbolt. He throws down a Heal Bot, back up to 21. He's got a lot of ways to stall here, and I don't know that Silent Storm's going to be able to push through enough to finish him.
Now here's the thing. How much...
Ooh. Wow, that is actually a great draw.
That works. Top deck Thalnos?
This was going to be a pretty difficult turn, but Quartermaster makes it a lot easier as he builds up a board of multiple 3/3s as well as a 2/5, and a little Lights Justice as the cherry on top. Wow.
Oh, called it!
Oh,
wow,
man.
That hurts.
Yeah, another thing that Silent Storm does not want to see here is Blood Mage Thalnos into Blizzard. A very powerful combo. Freezes the board as well as kills off all those 3/3s, of course, which is the important thing. Thalnos will also cycle, but
I was gonna say last turn, as the Freeze Mage, would you go for the Antonidas Frostbolt play? The only thing it wouldn't work is if your opponent had Equality Consecrate. And, I mean, you still get 1 Fireball out of it, right?
I think I would prefer to be a little greedier with my Archmage. Like, I think you still have plenty of time. I would really only want to do that if it was a desperation play.
That's fair.
In some cases, yeah, you would want to do it.
You're just going aggro. You're like, Tempo Antonidas, let's go.
Yeah, it's the Freeze Mage deck. As the Resident Sleeper Freeze Mage, you decide to go aggro. I guess it depends. I mean, you can sometimes turn it around. Like, I know playing against Face Hunters sometimes as Freeze Mage, I just fireball, Frostbolt their face, and then turn the table to them. Here's the aggro player now.
Indeed. Oh. A dead draw there for Force Dog. Already has an Ice Block.
And I like this play for sure. Archmage into Frost Nova makes it so that nothing on board can deal with your Archmage. And as well as a Frostbolt for a little bit of damage.
Freeze all the things.
Yeah, everything is frozen. Iron Beguile's nice, but triple Fireball is 18 damage. He can't play it all in one turn, of course. Lotheb is there in Silent Storm's hand, but unless Silent Storm draws a heal, his death is kind of inevitable to these Fireballs.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised just to see one Fireball to face this turn to set up for the lethal next turn. Like, you can't play the Blizzard or the Ice Block. Healbot isn't so great. Like, just try to set up the lethal, I think, as the Freeze Mage player.
Unfortunately, Fireball is 9 instead of 8. Otherwise, it's kind of nice, to get the ping
Yeah.
and the Fireball. Oh, the momentary, hover there onto the 1/1. It's like, I don't think that's where you want to Fireball.
My goodness. A lay on hands drawn for Silent Storm. This could be a turnaround for him if he can chain it into another heal card. That would really help him in this situation. Wow, the silence into the lay on hands. Definitely a good series of draws here for Silent Storm. They might just pull him back into the game.
Yeah, and Silent Storm trading off his 1/1s. They do die to a Blizzard. And just you don't want a Freeze Mage to have stuff on the board, right? You want them to waste their removals on your creatures as opposed to being able to kill off your creatures and then going face. So
Yep, an Acolyte of Pain is actually a decent draw here, as at this point you just need some other stuff to do. Pyroblast is a bit expensive for now, but the extra damage does mean that Force Dog has lethal over a period of turns once again. But will he get to that point is the question, or will Silent Storm draw some more heals? Some more ways to disrupt what his opponent's doing.
I think at this point there's no reason to silence the Acolyte, right? I don't think the one card makes that big of a difference.
Yeah, there's 8 cards left in Force Dog's deck. I mean, you've already seen one Doomsayer. The other one's probably going to come out at some point. It might be worth saving. I guess it depends on how Silent Storm's feeling about it. Looks like he does want to negate this draw and apply maximum pressure. I like this. Silent Storm realizes that he himself is on a pretty fast clock here. He is aware that Force Dog still has another Fireball made off of Antonidas. He probably has one of his legitimate Fireballs that his deck, naturally contains. And Silent Storm realizes he's on the clock and he has to put his opponent on the clock to have a chance at winning.
Let's see here. If Force Dog Alex's this turn, he can play Ice Block and 1 Fireball next turn. And then he can play Pyroblast the turn after that.
It might be a bit risky. I know I usually like to get the Alex Strauss out first.
Yeah, so he plays the Alex, right? His opponent's at 15. Next turn, he can play... If the Ice Block gets popped, he can play Ice Block Fireball. Or if he draws a Frostbolt, if he still has any, then that's also just...
Yeah, he should still have 1 Frostbolt and 2 Ice Lances left in his deck, as far as I... Remember, we've only seen 1 Frostbolt and 0 Ice Lances.
Yeah, the Ice Lance, right, won't be useful though.
Unless he draws a Frostbolt first.
He will have extra mana left over with the Ice Block Fireballs, so he could ping off something,
Yeah, he might actually need a Blizzard Fireball on this next turn. Oh, actually, no, the block is getting popped here. He has to play the other block, so... Yeah, Ice Block Fireball might just be the play.
The True Silver will take Silent Storm out of range.
Another Fireball drawn. You can't play all these cards in a single turn, though. Silent Storm has turned the tables here.
So
Force Dog is the one feeling the
Ice Block
pressure.
comes down. And then
how do you survive after this? I mean, you Ice Block, you Fireball, you Hero Power. That is lethal next turn with the double Fireballs, right? So that's his best chance at winning.
Yeah, the Pyroblast actually would not have done it. He needed the double Fireball.
Wow. Yeah, that actual Fireball draw from Force Dog's deck.
The top deck is what made it. Before the Pyroblast would have been enough, but the True Silver made it so that he got out of range. This is...
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be an exact lethal ending here for Force Dog.
Oh,
wow, Silent Storm fought so hard. Oh, and
a Frostball, just like...
Might as well throw that on top, but Yeah, wow, the tables really like turned back and back and forth here. You know, it's like, oh man, what an intense game. Silent Storm fought really hard, but unfortunately, Freeze Mage late game is just really, really strong. Two ice blocks is a lot to go through, as well as a bunch of burn on top of that. Even through the Lay on Hands, the Loatheb, the True Silver Champion, all of his healing that Silent Storm did wasn't enough against this Freeze Mage deck.
Yeah, it's just so frustrating sometimes playing against a Freeze Mage because their Silent Storm had such a dominant presence on the board, and there was, there is that Blizzard to sort of stem it a little bit, but otherwise, there wasn't really any way for the Freeze Mage to deal with it. But I mean, that is how Freeze Mage plays, right? Once you get to the end, it doesn't matter what you have on board, it doesn't matter how much burn you have. There's an ice block, you can't kill them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's always a sad feeling as the person playing against the Freeze Mage. You know that ice block is there. You know you're not gonna be able to kill them, and it's the worst feeling. But as the Freeze Mage player, you're just sitting back. You know it's already over. You know that like your opponent can't kill you no matter what, unless there's a Kezan Mystic, right? Kezan Mystic or Flare are the only ways you can get through an ice block, outside of somehow killing you on your own turn, like Fatigue or something like that.
Yeah, we definitely need more Kezans up in here. Alright, so with that, the series is tied at 1-1. Both schools have already played Paladin, and University of British Columbia playing their Mage, while Toronto playing their Druid. And next up we have Lance Wu versus Death Y.
Yeah, it looks to me like Deathy, Death Y, Deathy. I don't really know. Something like that. We're gonna get this set up, about to get into this next game here. Should be pretty awesome. Hoping to see some Shaman and Rogue, of course. As always.
Usually when people watch tournaments, right, they have that kind of like, oh no, I hope nobody plays this, right? You'll see like Cancer Druid and you're like, I hope nobody plays this on ladder. Or you'll see Patron and you're like, no, stop playing Patron, guys. But for once, we're like, oh my god, guys, if they can play Rogue and Shaman at BlitzCon, you guys should play Shaman and Rogue.
I mean, that's true, yeah. Like, I guess sometimes they're better in tournaments, but nah, people should totally play whatever decks they like, not just decks that are good, We play this game to have fun, right? Not to like... I mean, I guess some people want to be competitive. Yeah, some people want to get to the top of Legend. But at the end of the day, I just like to have fun. I know I've had my experiences on ladder where I just throw a Deathwing in the deck. I actually crafted a golden Deathwing, just for entertainment purposes, for fun, for fun purposes.
I actually disenchanted my golden Deathwing.
Wow. Man, that's sad.
So,
at least to me, that's sad because I crafted one.
Yeah,
so
well, you made up for it, right? Like I threw a golden Deathwing into the mysterious abyss of disenchantment, and you brought him back to life.
Yeah, I guess
so. He better be doing some work for you. You know how they say adopted animals are, they're better because they're grateful to you for saving them? Well, your Deathwing should be grateful to you for crafting him and saving him and playing him.
Yeah.
So he should work hard and win you games.
So grateful that whenever I play him, he kills all of my other minions and discards my whole hand. I mean, what a nice guy. I'm happy I adopted this
Yeah, it's like you adopt a new pet into your house and they just shred everything and, annoy all your other pets, and you're like, oh, yes, what a wonderful idea.
Alright, looks like the players have gotten in game. We're gonna get this going. Let's see. Ooh, we have Hunter versus Hunter. Now this is what I call spicy. The Hunter mirror matchup, what everybody wants to see, I think, when we watch tournaments like this, because we all get to spam Smork in chat and see who is better at hitting the face.
Yep. Well, Lance Wu, at least, we see 2 Savannah High mains in his pre-mulligan hand, so this
And
is
now
at
2
least...
Houndmasters.
Yeah.
They're
look
traveling
at
in
these
pairs.
hands. Yeah, 2 animal companions for 666. You know, if you were allowed to put 3 cards of the same type in your deck, he would get 3 animal companions because his name is 666. Actually, you know, he should get 3 Savannah High mains. That's what should happen.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, his name is Deathy on the roster, but I guess his in-game name does kind of relate to that a little more. Looks like he decides not to coin out the Knife Juggler, which I like because you've got a top-heavy hand as of now. I mean, okay, now that he drew Haunted Creeper, you kind of wish you would coin out the Knife Juggler, I think, because you want to curve out really fast, but unfortunately he didn't know he would draw that. But
he should have known. That was a misplay.
Okay, but I think he's at least happy that Lance Wu didn't have his own 2-drop. That's usually a nice feeling as a hunter player, to be the first person to claim your board presence and start racking up some damage on the enemy's face.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And every animal companion already being drawn for both players. We'll see if we get all 4 of them played out as well this game. We're starting off with a Misha.
Yep, and another animal companion into a Leok. I wonder if we're going to see all the different animal companions come into play here. It's definitely nice to have an animal companion lead into a Houndmaster, though, because usually you get a pretty beefy minion plus taunt. It's a solid deal for 3 and 4 mana. Looks like Deathy does opt to do that. A 5-3 Houndmaster and a 4-6 taunt. Leok now in play for him. A pretty strong board. We do see an animal companion from Lance Wu. Looks like he's deciding to play this Ironbeak Owl here. Looks solid to me.
Yeah. I mean, generally you don't like seeing a Leok, but here it works out quite well. You know, you get that 4-6, just a really tanky guy. And, you know, you get a bit of benefits for your buddies as well. I guess there he would have rather had a Misha, but,
Yeah.
you know, you're not really playing around your opponent having that owl.
Yeah, I think it was better than a Huffer, but works
We
out
still
pretty
haven't
good.
seen a Huffer. We've got one more chance at a Huffer.
Man, I guess those naysayers are wrong about it always being Huffer. You know, those people who always spam always Huffer dance game or something like that, and it's just always Huffer. It feels like it's always Huffer.
He's playing the animal companion.
If this isn't Huffer, then
Is he gonna play it?
is this really a real hunter? You know, like that's where you got to start questioning these things. Like,
Definitely.
Is this really a real game of Hearthstone? All right.
Yay!
we're
We got
finished.
the Huffer!
Yeah, everybody's happy. Huffer is here, and he is ready to hit the face, I think. That's usually the place that he likes to go.
Alright, and 666, yeah, Deathy just gonna clear off the Beast, which, as we see, is very good because Lance Wu has 2 Houndmasters in hand that he is not able to play efficiently.
Yeah, unfortunately, Houndmasters do not work on mechs, only on beasts. So he's got-
There should be like a Mech Master, like Cog Master, right? But it,
Well, they do have the 5-mana guy, Clockwork Knight, I think. He's a neutral
yeah, that's true.
that buffs a guy, a mech, but
Yeah.
not quite as powerful as Houndmaster, I think. Interesting choice here. I like it. Aggressive, clears your opponent's board, pushes some damage through.
Yep.
From Lance Wu.
Hunter versus Hunter, you kind of have to balance the going phase versus clearing off their board, and especially with things like Beast Synergy, you know, you just want to make sure you're not going too crazy.
Yeah, it's also interesting to note here, both of these players brought mid-range Hunter, not face Hunter. And in this matchup, when it's face versus mid-range, face usually does really, really well because they can apply a lot of pressure really fast, and mid-range has trouble keeping up with it because mid-range Hunter isn't really a defensive deck, but it's not as aggressive as face Hunter, so it falls behind really fast. But this is a nice even matchup of mid-range versus mid-range. With that being said, Dr. Boom kind of makes it uneven, in favor of Deathy, because Dr.
Well,
Boom is a very strong play, especially on turn 6 with the coin.
yeah, at least the quick shot shows up, so he will be able to deal with the doctor. After that, though, kind of an awkward hand. Looks like he's opting for the Scientist Hero Power, wanting to really get some value out of those Houndmasters, but just dead cards in his hand at the moment, not willing to just play them out as vanilla 4/3s.
Mm-hmm. Echoing Ooze, not exactly what you want to see of Piloted Shredder.
It's better than a parrot.
A parrot is a beast.
Oh,
There's
no,
two
you
Houndmasters.
are absolutely right. Yes.
It's better than a
I
novice
take that
engineer,
back.
though.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah. So it's at least
I
better
just
than
picked.
one.
See, look, it soaked up a boombot. Good work. Good work, Woos.
Yeah,
I mean,
not
think
bad.
about it. It could have been like a 3/2. It would have done exactly the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Very true. King's Elect comes out here for Deathy. Ooh, the other high main. Pretty solid. 2 in hand is a bit clunky, but it looks like this game is going to take a bit longer than we first anticipated, with it being Hunter versus Hunter.
And
But,
Lance finally draws his own Savannah high main.
Pretty solid here. Definitely didn't want to play a Houndmaster, I think. And now it's going to be really difficult for Deathy to disable Houndmasters per se, because how's he going to kill all of the beasts off this high
Double
main?
Houndmaster next turn.
Yeah, that's possible.
That's
We
like
might just see it.
finally he gets to play his Houndmasters.
Freezing Trap, though, from Deathy is a great response to this high main. That's for sure. I missed that. I didn't see that Freezing Trap. Wow. That might just be enough to seal the deal this game. You can Houndmaster up here as Lancewu, but
Oh wow.
I wonder, is he gonna attack? Okay. Now he might have been thinking to himself, like, I need to attack to win, but then again, just putting up this 10-9 taunt, having multiple 4/3s on board. I like this play from Lancewu. Set up a defensive position for yourself, make your opponent trade. You can proc the Freezing Trap with a Houndmaster and make another taunt. So, yeah, I think this is a heads-up play from him. And doesn't lose his high main to a Freezing Trap, as many players would have.
Yeah, the only difference there I would say is whether you play the second Houndmaster. It doesn't really change anything, right? Like a quick shot or any kind of damage. If you can do 1 damage, you can probably do 3 damage, kind of thing, unless it's a Glaivezuka. But having that extra Houndmaster out will be nice. It's extra damage, so even if you didn't really care for the 2/2 there, it is nice that he has the extra body on board.
Just deciding the trades here. Looks pretty good to trade into the higher attack minion. If you kill off one hyena, there's still another beast in play, so yeah, it doesn't really do much. And this is a really difficult board state for Lancewu to get himself out ahead here. Wow, how's he gonna deal with this and survive? One high main already played. It's basically just that Deathy played both of his high mains first, as well as a Freezing Trap to counter Lancewu's high main. It just got him really far ahead in tempo, and it seems like Lancewu might not be able to come back from this.
Yeah, and not to mention the Dr. Boom as well. Lancewu did not get to draw any of his high drops, his Savannahs or his Dr. Boom, which presumably he might have one of, so... And of course, having those 2 Houndmasters stuck in his hand for a couple turns hurts as well, and...
Yep. Looks like he's just gonna freeze his Houndmaster here. I think he's probably going to replay it after the King's Elect, of course. Might as well see what's going on there. Ram Wrangler. Interesting choice from Deathy, as we see in his deck, but hasn't yet come into play. We'll see if it does.
Okay, Lance does manage to get off everything he needed to do that turn. The jousting mechanic is kind of awkward, you know, it has quite the long animation time, but Lance has really queued that up.
Yep, good to see that happen. It's always kind of sad when you see players rope out and miss out on either free damage or important trades or just playing an important card. Ooh, Tundra Rhino. That's a pretty powerful card here. I mean, Deathy was already ahead, but Tundra Rhino is now going to enable any beasts off the top to have charge, which should lead to a quick closing to this game here pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, with Lance Wu having the higher HP amount, Deathy does have to clear some stuff off just to make sure he doesn't die next turn. You know, there's 5 showing already.
Looks like he will go for that extra point off the Haunted Creeper. Wow, I'd actually say this is somewhat of a risky play. I guess it's not that risky. Lance Wu only has 2 cards in hand. If he had something like Unleash Kill Command, that would be lethal damage, but with just 3 minions in play, that's already lethal damage. But yeah, it looks like Lance Wu isn't going to be able to respond to this, and Deathy is going to take the win here, I think. Pretty sure that's... Not quite. And we don't quite have lethal here yet. Oh, just kidding. It's exactly lethal. I was
what?
like doing the math, double checking.
Huh?
Yeah, it is exact lethal. Well played there.
It's
2
okay.
mid-range hunters decks. A little more respectable in a lot of people's opinions than Face Hunter. But I don't really think it matters too much, especially when you come to a tournament like this. You gotta leave your dignity at home and just play whatever wins, right? You know. Maybe not leave your dignity at home. Maybe take some dignity with you, but you definitely just want to play the best decks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't feel too bad there for the miss lethal. They missed lethal at BlitzCon, so I think if they're allowed to do that, we're allowed to do that here, right?
I mean, if I had like a couple seconds more, I think I would have noticed. I was doing the math, double checking, because you don't want to be like, oh my goodness, it's lethal, the game's over, and then it's not lethal, because then that's even worse than not recognizing the lethal in the first place, I think. I don't really know for sure. I guess we'll leave that up to the viewers, but interesting game there. Both hunters are going to be off now, and that was Deathy's win, right?
Yes, indeed. So
and
University of Toronto is up
2-1.
2-1, and so we will see Emily here.
Yep, looks like Emily has the chance to take the winning game for her team, or maybe Real Terror will start up the comeback here.
Yeah. I believe when Emily was playing in the local LAN tournament, she played Priest, I think Druid, and Mage. But I know she played Priest for sure, so I'm curious if that will show up.
Yeah, any of those classes sound solid, but a couple of them have been played.
Yeah, the Druid is gone. She could play Mage here. I'm expecting a Mage or Priest, I think.
Yeah, Dragon Priest is definitely a popular choice. I would not be surprised at all to see that. Looks like we're getting into the game here.
Heading into game... There we go. It is a Priest. Hooray.
Yep, and it looks like it is indeed a Dragon Priest, as I see Blackwing Corruptor and Ezra Drake being mulliganed away there. And we're going to have Real Terror on Warlock. Both players spicing it up with their golden portraits.
Yep, and Real Terror will be on a Demon Handlock. Quite a popular deck these days as well.
Yeah, both some strong decks here. We'll see what happens. I think this matchup usually favors the Demon Handlock because Priest tends to play things out pretty slow, and they can run out of steam in the late game, whereas Demon Handlock can just keep tapping, keep drawing. Another thing to mention is Twilight Drake has always been an issue for Priest players as it has 4 attack and a bunch of health, and that sweet spot being on 4 attack tends to be really difficult for Priest to deal with. They do have access to a few new tools like Light Bomb and Blackwing Corruptor, which can help in this matchup. Also, Ysera can definitely have a big impact here, depending on whether or not she gets silenced or dealt with in some other way. So it should be an interesting game. As we see a Northshire come out turn 1 for Emily.
Real Terror needs to decide if he wants to get that full health Twilight Drake out on turn 4, or if he just wants to get rid of the Cleric, but with no minions on board to heal, he's happy to just tap, and in fact, could get the Mountain Giant out now on 4 instead of the Twilight.
Yep, no threat of anything being damaged here, so I like his choice to just leave the Northshire on board and just life tap for a few turns to get things set up in his hand.
Yep, and I mean, with the draws that he has, I would almost certainly expect him to tap here, so he can play his Mountain Giant next turn.
Yep. I mean, depending on what Emily does, I would probably opt for the Twilight Drake over the Mountain Giant, though, because Shadow Word Death can deal with Mountain Giant, and that's a pretty common card. There's some things that can deal with Twilight Drake, but I think a lot of the time it is a better bet. Although, if Villain's Chosen comes down on this Northshire Cleric, that's going to be a 3/7. Yeah, and you don't really want to play a Twilight Drake into a 3/7 Northshire Cleric. So he might just have to go with the Mountain Giant here.
Looks like he's happy to play out the Twilight Drake here.
Oof.
Not quite the perfect Drake. The 4/9 instead of 4/10.
Yeah, this is actually still like a really good choice, especially since Emily did in fact draw the Shadow Word Death, which would have been able to kill off that Mountain Giant and keep her massive board in play. At this point, she's got to at least respect the chance of health or Shadow Flame, excuse me. I guess Hellfire isn't that good. But yeah, Shadow Flame is a potential threat to her board, especially if a Power Overwhelming comes out or something like that. Those aren't too popular these days, but they do pop up every now and then.
Yeah, that's when you're like, what just happened?
Yeah, it's a pretty rough feeling. But Emily opting not to attack with her Dark Cultist, pretty smart choice there, I would say. You've already got a decent position on this board. You don't want to let Real Terror get back into it by playing a couple of Molten Giants. So,
unfortunately, Priest also doesn't really have a lot of direct damage.
yeah.
So, at some point, I don't think she's really gonna wait until she builds up full lethal on board, right? So it's sort of
Yeah, that's another big issue in the matchup. Just not having direct damage, so it can often be a struggle to close out the game without getting blown out by Molten Giants. Sludge Belcher does come down here for a Real Terror. Just kind of filling in the turn there, as there isn't much else to do. You can't tap or else you overdraw the next turn unless you play Sun Fury, which you really don't want to do.
I think you could tap and play Mountain Giant.
Oh yeah, Mountain Giant would have been 3, right?
No, sorry. He only had Mountain Giant's 4, right? No, that's
When you have a full hand, it's 3. I think
Yeah.
I think he could have actually done that, but I guess he's probably scared of lethal damage somehow. I mean, I guess you have 9 on board already.
But it's Priest. Double.
Yeah, but a Holy Nova would have been 3 damage, so that's 12. So that's 2 off lethal. So it's close. I mean, then again, Shadow Word Death does just kind of kill it off really easily. So still respecting that. Just going with a safer play. Emily did have the option to damage some of her minions and heal up and draw some cards if she so desired, but looks like opting just to play this Blackwing Corruptor, clean up the board a little bit. Shadow Flame is definitely scary here, but the Northshire Cleric would survive if that does happen. Unless the Dark Bomb was
Dark
played.
Bomb. Yeah.
Yeah, then again, no Shadow Flame in hand yet for Real Terror. A bit unfortunate, I'd say. That's a card you would really like to see at this point in this matchup.
Looks like he's just going to go for the double Twilight Drake here.
Plus taunt.
Yeah. No Mountain or Molten Giant out.
Yeah, I definitely like this choice. You really, really need to wall up and survive like for a few more turns. You need some more time to get things together. Even though you do have a heal bot, actually two heal bots in hand for Real Terror, you really want to stall out with these taunts and not only heal yourself a little bit, but get control of the board. That's the important thing right now.
The Molten Giants, though, will probably not be played anytime soon. And that's a good thing for Emily, as she's, very disciplined there. It's not like, I can just throw 3 damage to his face. It's like, nope. You just want a commanding board position and wait it out. And I think she's hoping that goes on the Blackwing Corruptor. Well, the taunt, not too bad either.
I think this turns out fine. I would like to see a heal here from Emily on her, like kill off the Twilight Drake and then heal her. Let's see, Northshire would be at 2. Twilight Guardian's at 5. Probably just heal the Northshire. But then again, Twilight Drake, okay. I mean, I guess this works out fine.
Yeah, otherwise the taunt would get killed off this turn, so that's a reasonable play, I think.
I mean, you are at risk for Dark Bomb. That's not super common. I think it's mainly a one of. Some people play 2. But Northshire Cleric is already cycled. She's done, I wouldn't say she's fully done her job. I think she only drew 1 card when a Valence Chosen was invested into her as well, but she did do a little bit of face damage.
Not that, you're really looking to do all that face damage.
Man, I would have really liked to see the Northshire draw more cards, but...
Well,
oh, wait. Is it going to survive? Oh,
looks
never
like
mind.
it. Yeah, the Sun Fury can't go through the taunt, so...
Yeah, you're right. I was thinking for a second that Twilight Drake would just kill off the Twilight Guardian, but that doesn't really work. So yeah, the Northshire stays in play, which I'm sure Emily is happy about. Get to cycle some more here if she so desires. Shadow Word Death definitely seems like step 1 of this turn, though.
Yep. With that gone, she has 4 mana, so... could play the Shrink... Actually, yeah, playing the Shrinkmeister would keep her Blackwing Corruptor alive. And you can toss a heal on that or the Northshire.
Yeah. You gotta be scared of board clears at this point, though, right? Like Ancient Watcher into Shadow Flame or Hellfire. Like, Emily, I think, has gotta be thinking of those right now and respecting them, like with her plays. Ooh. Holy Nova? I actually like the Holy Nova here. You Twilight Guardian into the Twilight Drake, Holy Nova for 3 damage, and then trade your Corruptor into the Giant.
Yep.
I mean, it does put your opponent at 13, but you have another... Like, you have the death saved. Like, that's the whole point of this play.
Exactly.
You draw 2 cards, you save your death. Ooh, she drew the other death too. Looks like she's got a lot of things covered. She'll go ahead and just put Real Terror at 10. I mean, she's got both deaths, so...
Yeah, this is looking good, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, she's like, all right, hit me. Like, I've got 2 Shadow Word Deaths. Do your worst. And, I mean, she doesn't really want to see Mountain Giant and 2 Molten Giants because you don't have that many Shadow Word Deaths. But...
yeah, it's like, whoa. Not so much, okay.
Yeah, maybe not your worst, but...
Give me something. Just don't go crazy here.
Yeah. Big Game Hunter, definitely not what Real Terror wants to see here. Healbot will come down and stall for a little bit longer, I think. Emily doesn't quite have lethal.
Good position, though. She's got the deaths to deal with the Molten, and Real Terror actually does not have another Giant in hand at the moment.
And I'm assuming she's just gonna dome him for 6 again. Yep.
I
Keep
mean,
it
she
going.
didn't see another Molten when he was at 10, so no reason
Yep.
to believe he has another one. Mountain is a little bit inefficient to play, but could come down. But, at that point, you don't really care what health he's at.
Yep. And so things looking good here for Emily, and what I would argue is a pretty unfavorable matchup, but she's played it well so far, and things are looking good right now.
Yeah, pretty bad spot for Real Terror here. Okay, he's going to silence the Northshire and play out.
Finally get rid of this Northshire, who did end up doing a lot of work, and wow.
Well,
Turn 9 Ysera drawn. I think that's a slam onto the table. You've just seen a side. Or wait, let's make sure this isn't lethal, right? Let's just double check. I mean, you've got 6. Okay, it's not lethal. Yeah, let's slam this Ysera after double checking everything, trading off the board. We do know Real Terror has a silence, but Ysera.
Oh yes, a nightmare.
Yeah, there's a 2 out of 5 chance that Ysera gives you a 5 damage card.
Mm-hmm.
And as we were saying, Priest usually doesn't have burst damage, but Ysera definitely gives you some burst damage on the occasion.
So there is a Dark Bomb to take care of something. I guess you tap here. Okay, a Shadow Flame, but at this point... Well, the Ancient Watcher plus Shadow Flame will take care of 3 of the minions, and I think that's all you have to go for here, right? And Irvinve the Ysera?
Yeah. That's just got to be it. But as we know, Emily did draw the Nightmare, which also could have been Ysera Awakened, so
yeah,
multiple possible outs there for lethal. And it was just looking like a really good game for her anyway. But yeah, really well played by her, and she will take the series for University of Toronto.
Indeed, Toronto beating out UBC 3-1. Emily getting to close that off with the Priest, and I think, with the new Priest, Dragon Priest, it does a bit better against Handlock just because you have so many things on board. She actually didn't even have to use her second death there.
Yeah.
With so many creatures, there's only so much that Handlock can do. And, on one hand, you feel like Handlock has all the answers, which they do, but, they have to draw them, right? She only... Real Terror had the Molten Giant, had the Mountain Giant, but they were both dealt with, and the Shadow Flame also not really coming earlier when it could have been a lot more useful against her board. And with that, the Handlock goes down.
Mm-hmm. For sure, yep. Also, Ysera is a very nice card to have in that matchup. Even though she didn't really do a ton of work there, she still gave Emily a little oomph to finish the game.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to Jiraxis in Handlock when you're playing against a warrior, just because you hero power and you have so many things, right? And that's the same thing with Ysera, is every turn you just get more stuff, and there's only so much stuff that you can deal with before you die.
For sure.
Alright, coming up next we have Harvey Mudd College versus University of California, Irvine. Now, Harvey Mudd College, I believe, pretty small school, but it is, I think, has quite the esports following. Day 9 did come from Harvey Mudd College, and I believe when he was there, he did set up some esports stuff, of course. At that time, it was for StarCraft, but you'd expect that to go around.
Yeah, Day9 is a very popular Twitch personality, esports personality, and should be interesting to see what they bring to the table. The Mud Elementals, they call themselves. That's their team name, so should be pretty interesting match.
Why not the Harvey Elementals?
I kind of like Mud, though. It's like, you've got Fire Elemental, Water Elemental, Mud Elemental.
It's a hybrid between an Earth Elemental and a Water Elemental.
Yeah, Earth Elemental, that one.
But isn't Harvey like some kind of... I have an image of some kind of black and yellow bird kind of cartoony character. Am I crazy?
I mean, I'm not sure. I probably just don't know.
I think I'm crazy. I feel like it's a comic
might.
character of some sort.
You might just be crazy, but then again, it might just be me not knowing. Maybe chat knows who you're referring
Yeah,
to.
but chat will let me know 10 minutes later. At that point, we've moved on to more interesting things.
Mm.
So, just waiting for these players to get into game here. We have Red Rot versus Faulty to start things off.
Yeah, should be pretty interesting. Hopefully, we'll see some awesome classes. A little different than the norm.
Rogue, Shaman? One time, please. Somebody. If we
Rogue.
if we keep begging chat every week, maybe just one time, somebody will take pity on us.
I mean, we've seen Shaman. I don't think we've seen any Rogue, though. Or have we? Maybe we've seen one Rogue
I
game.
don't think we've seen any rogues. We haven't seen any rogues, and we also haven't seen any Aliras. I know that doesn't really count, but it's just interesting because you have so many hunters, almost one played by every team, but nobody with the skin.
Yeah, Ilaria is out there, though. Somewhere.
Actually, the person who is voicing Illyria is one of the hosts at BlizzCon. Fun fact.
Huh. That's pretty cool. Did not know that. An interesting voiceover.
It's like, okay, if you guys won't, change what class you're playing for us, at least go spend a few dollars and buy a skin, okay? How about that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. And plus, it already comes golden, so you don't have to play through the 500 games.
We had that discussion, didn't we?
We were just discussing whether it's the hero power, though, because I'm really, really sure that when you buy the hero, it's just already got that awesome animation about it and stuff. Looks like we are getting ready. This game should be up momentarily once the players have selected their decks. I guess my actual prediction, instead of Rogue and Shaman, is going to be Paladin versus Paladin. It's game one. People want to play their Secret Paladins. Let's just get this over with. Let's see the Secret Paladins and move on. Alright, just
Looks
kidding.
Looks like that will not be the case.
Yep, neither player brings Paladin, so I'm a little bit off here. But I assume we'll see him at some point.
I've got the predictions locked down for tonight, It's okay. You don't have to do them too. I'll carry you.
Well, I mean, it looks like Faulty has his predictions down perfectly, because I think this is a Freeze Mage that has just been queued up against the Zoo deck, and that is an extremely favorable matchup for the Freeze Mage. Wow. Yep, he definitely had his predictions on point, as I'm sure Red Dot will not feel too good about this once he sees what's going on here.
Yeah, Red Rot, though, does have a pretty stellar opening hand. The Flame Imp into Abusive +1 drop, or an Imp Gang boss, or, if he picks up another 2-drop.
The greetings coming out from both players. Hello into I greet you. Standard emote meta. I mean, we haven't seen many of the other players greet each other, but
oh, wow.
Just goes with
Red
the
Rot
Voidwalker and nothing.
Not playing the Abusive Sergeant.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Maybe he thinks this is Tempo Mage. There's a very good chance of that,
Any reason not to play the Abusive, though?
Flamewaker coming out this next turn could be a reason, because you want an abusive
that's fair.
Yeah, the Flame Imp or something else. Maybe if it happens to be Mech Mage, if he has a Spider Tank. I mean, I think there are plenty of good reasons to hold on to it. if he knew for sure it was freeze, I think it would have been no-brainer. Just get the abusive out, maximize your damage. But when you're unsure, definitely got to make some interesting decisions.
What do you mean we're not just going face?
Wow, this is a great trade for Faulty, as he can just put this Mad Scientist into the Flame Imp, get a secret from his deck, and probably play the Loot Hoarder and use his hero power.
Yeah, he could Frostbolt and Ping, but since it's an Imp Gang boss, it'll still leave a guy out, so... The Loot Hoarder will reveal that it is in fact a Freeze Mage, so Red Rot now knows that and needs to figure out how he's going to deal with this.
Yep, he should have gotten the message at this point. That is an Ice Barrier as well, the secret pulled for the Mage. So if he doesn't get it through this Loot Hoarder, he should get it once the Ice Barrier is procced.
So he decides not to play the Knife Juggler? Maybe? Still deciding. Actually hovering on the Abusive. I think going for the Void Caller here on 4 mana with that Mal'Ganis in hand looks pretty good to me.
I actually have to get back into this game here. I was kicked out momentarily.
Yeah, so the Void Caller does come down, and it looks like the Imp Gang boss will go face. The Loot Hoarder doesn't really, threaten anything on Red Rot's board, so he's just gonna let that hang out.
Yeah, I'd say that's fine. Arcane Intellect drawn here for Faulty. Looks like a solid play for this turn, because before that there wasn't much else to do.
Draw all the things.
Yeah, you don't really want to Frostbolt or Ice Lance these minions, because they'll just turn into more annoying things. So I'd say just leave those alone for now. Doomsayer is a great way to deal with both of those cards effectively, so just wait it out. Hopefully draw Frost Nova Doomsayer at some point. I might even just trade the Loot Hoarder into the... What if you trade it into the Void Caller? Then it will die to a Blizzard next turn. You actually don't want the Void Caller to die, I think.
Right.
So maybe just trade into the Imp Gang boss to see what you draw.
It's pretty awkward either way we look at it here.
Yeah, I mean, Imp Gang boss does give 1 immediate damage, but assuming you don't draw anything you want to play, you could just hero power it immediately. And as we do know, Mal'Ganis is the only demon in Red Rot's hand right now, so this might punish Faulty. Because I'm thinking he's probably gonna... Well, maybe he won't Blizzard. You don't necessarily have to Blizzard when there's only a couple points of damage on the board. You can just Theracin, wait it out for a while, and save your Blizzard for something later to freeze. Although, if Red Rot makes an aggressive play like this, gonna feel more tempted to Blizzard, I think.
Oh, the afterthought life tap.
Yeah, usually you do want to life tap first.
Yeah, I don't think he was going to coin Defender of Argus there, so not really missing out on anything from that sequencing.
And apparently I am just not meant to spectate this game, as I have gotten kicked out for the second time now.
You are spectating someone named Faulty, so what do you expect here?
Yeah, very true.
Oh, and Blizzard with the card shuffle. Every time, I think, you start spectating. So Ragnarok's gonna come down here. No Antonidas in Faulty's hand, but he does get the combo, the Ice Lance, the Frostbolt, the Ice Block, I believe. Is that a block or a barrier? The Ice Barrier. So when he does draw the Antonidas, and has 10 mana, he can go ahead and spam out 3 spells, which is pretty nice. Does have Alexstrasza as well, down to 8. And
Did you say Ragnaros? Ragnaros in a Freeze Mage deck?
I meant Alexstrasza if I said... They're red
Oh.
dragon things, you know, and Red Rot actually here... I don't know if he had enough juggles, but the Thorson is going to stay up, and he's going to leave it up, the knife going face instead, and we'll see if that pays off for him.
Yeah, Hearthstone is not reopening for me, so I'm having a couple technical difficulties right now. Hopefully I get this up soon.
So, I mean, I do have the other hand showing here. It depends how good you guys are at reading things upside down. Oh wait, do we have the... Okay, no. So, there's a Thalnos, Alexstrasza, Frostbolt, Ice Lance, 2 Blizzards, a Ice Barrier, and a Flame Strike. So the Flame Strike is 6 mana this turn. He could play that. Looks like he's going to Blizzard, and yeah, this is actually really good. Blizzard and Ice Lance the Mal'Ganis.
Wow. Mal'Ganis in play is definitely a big problem for the Freeze Mage, so you want to get rid of that, of course.
Red Rod actually has a lethal here. Has a Doomguard plus Power Overwhelming. The really nice play there, getting the Haunted Creeper down, since a Blizzard does not take care of the Haunted Creeper. It leaves 2 unfrozen creatures, one of which he got to Power Overwhelming, and the Doomguard coming down gave him enough for lethal. So, despite killing off the Mal'Ganis, Red Rot is going to have enough damage. So he's saying, you know what, I don't even care that you're playing Freeze Mage and I am playing Zoolock. I got this, and he won that game.
Yeah, sounds like a bunch of burst damage to me. Definitely a good way to close the game against Freeze. Wow. You would think a lot of the time that matchup would go the other way, but wow, that's pretty interesting that the Zoo deck won it. I mean, it happens every so often for sure, especially with cards like Mal'Ganis and Burst, like Power Overwhelming, and stuff like that. So, yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, I'm not too sure there... I mean, obviously there was an Ice Barrier in hand for the Freeze Mage, for Faulty. Let's see, that would be Ice Barrier plus Frostbolt plus Ice Lance would take care of Mal'Ganis. And then would that get rid of enough damage for him to... I don't think it would, actually, because of the Power of Doomguard. So I don't think there was any way that Faulty could have stayed alive there. It was not an ice block.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because I didn't really get to see. But I'll trust your math on that. Okay, looks like maybe Hearthstone will open up for me this time. I had to like close all the BattleNet processes and stuff.
One time Hearthstone.
Okay. Should be able to spectate the next game properly.
Alright, so with that, Harvey Mudd leading out the series, starting at 1-0. And now we've got Rec versus Lugia, which will be Hunter versus Warlock.
I feel like that's supposed to be Lugia, like the Pokemon. I mean, it's spelled a little differently, but I don't know, it just really seems like...
I actually don't know my Pokemons that well, so...
Oh man, Lugia was
word on that.
a Generation 2 Legendary, I think. I think he was in Johto, maybe he was in Ho-Oh. Maybe we've got some Pokemon experts in chat who can help me out with that, but
Wiktionary says third person singular past historic of Luger.
Okay. I
Thanks.
would hope that it's based more off the Pokemon than,
Yes.
than that. But wow, looks like Lugia is playing a Dragon Warlock deck. You know, Twilight Guardian, the card, does look like the Pokemon Lugia. So maybe
There
there's
you
some
go.
inspiration there. Like the dots are really connecting now. It makes sense. So as we do see the Greetings Traveler come out from Rec.
I feel like we're missing some white dragons, right? They're sort of a full spectrum of colors, but
Mhm.
are there any white dragons? Because Lugia is basically white with a bit of blue.
Yeah, I don't think there are any white dragons in Hearthstone. I mean, there's blue, there's purple, there's red, there's green.
Sort of orange, black.
Yeah, we could use some white dragons. Oh, always Huffer. Not exactly what you want here, though, I think, as there's a Zombie Chow in play, which is a great trade into a Huffer. 1 mana card for a 3 mana card. Even though Huffer does put a bit of face damage on Lugia here, I mean, he is playing mid-range Hunter, so face damage isn't really all the craze with this deck.
Yeah, and unfortunately, with that gone, no kill command for this turn.
Mm-hmm.
The web
Yeah, wow.
spinner also coming a turn late.
Mm-hmm. You don't really want to Iron Beak Owl here. I mean, you could just Hero Power. That really feels like, yeah, that feels like something you should do because with this current hand, it's pretty weak for now. You just want to maximize the damage. And weaving in a Hero Power is going to help with that. Savage Combatant, a great card off of that Web Spinner, I would say.
Yeah, that's
It's right on curve.
5 face damage if
Yeah.
you get the hero power going.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't really wait till turn 6 to play it. You know, you really
Mhm.
want to get your high main down, so probably just gonna get that down this turn. It's not too bad, you know, with the Mortal Coil being played, Lugia does have to play something else from hand to be able to deal with the Savage Combatant, since both things on board have 3 attacks, so
Right.
not the worst case. I don't think there's really time to wait until turn 7 at least before playing it, right? So
Yeah.
might as well just
I
throw
guess
that down.
another thing that's really worth considering there is the Eaglehorn Bow, but I do like playing the Savage Combatant instead. You just want to get board presence. Eaglehorn Bow plus Explosive Trap just fits better on curve mana-wise next turn. And there's a decent chance that your Savage Combatant survives. I mean, it'll probably die, but if it does survive, that leaves you the option to kill command next turn for 5, or to Iron Beak Owl, or both. So,
You can kill command for 5, hero power, so you can do 10 damage. Plus the Savage, you can do 15 damage.
yeah,
on
that
5
would be
mana.
that would be a lot if that worked out. But I doubt that'll happen here, depending on what Lugia does. He might just opt to play the Twilight. Oh, never mind. You probably don't want to play the Twilight Guardian here. There's no other dragons in hand for Lugia. So, I think we're probably going to see an Abusive Sergeant come down so that his Earthen Ring can trade into this Savage Combatant.
Yeah, you only need 1 damage. You don't need the full damage.
An interesting play. Maximizes his pressure. I kind of like this. I think he realizes that he's against a mid-range hunter because face hunters do not play Web Spinner most of the time. I mean, I guess some people have played it, but in general, face hunters don't play it. And yeah, he's going with max aggression here. Explosive Trap's gonna wreck this plan, though. I think the perfect counter to what Lugia was trying to do here. I think.
Now, as Lugia here, without a Defender of Argus, do you just pass your turn? Just leave your guys on board and say, hey, you deal with this. I'm just going to sit around.
I mean, I kind of like this Theracin he just drew. I mean, whether or not you attack, I feel like it might have been worth it to... Well, actually, you got to be aware of the Jaime coming out this next turn. I like his play to hold off. You know your opponent doesn't have the Unleashed Knife Juggler Wombo, or else he would have used that already, most likely.
Yeah, but Unleash
And,
Kill Command is still pretty good here.
That's true. There's a lot of ways Rek can have some strong plays here. He will opt to Unleash Kill Command. Does seem like the best play to me as well.
Now here's the question. What do you do with your hounds?
Yeah, I mean, I think you definitely just kill the... I guess you just kill everything and then leave the... Okay, actually you have Explosive Trap up. Alright, so put things at 2 and then just hit face with the rest.
Alright.
Okay. There we go. Yeah, that's better. I like that. Force your opponent to trade or just lose their whole board. And at this point, Lugia's gotta be feeling like this is an explosive, right? I mean, pretty much a clear indicator. Yeah, he sees it. He goes ahead and starts making the trades. Taps a bit late, but
Okay, so he's going to actually leave that explosive trap still up. Doesn't want to give Rek another charge on his bow. And there is the Ironbeak Owl here available. Potentially drawing with the King's Elec. But I feel like this is kind of the situation that Zoo versus Hunter gets in, which is pretty awkward for both players, which is, you know, Zoo has a whole bunch of creatures here, but they can't go face. But at the same time, he's building such a big board that it's very hard for the Hunter to deal with, and then at some point, you know, he's gonna run you over.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I like Lugia's choice here to leave that explosive up and be able to deal with other things instead of just losing all of his guys to this explosive trap and giving Rek a charge on his bow. I think playing it slow and steady here is a smart move. He's got a decent health total. He probably has some form of heal in his deck, so I like his plays so far. This might be the turn where he starts attacking because he's got the Guardian up as well as the Imp Gang Boss, which will give him a dude. And yeah, he's got a reasonable amount of damage to follow this up with and can actually end the game next turn. Proper ordering here, actually, as he does need a dragon in hand for this Twilight Guardian to have taunt.
Well, okay, never mind. There was a bit of a lag there. I was like, but he has another Drake in his hand. But it was just the Drake that he was playing.
Yeah, some people would think back to the old days where it's like, always play your Twilight Drake before your other cards. But nope, in this case, you need that dragon in hand. So good sequencing by Lugia. And not sure that Rek is going to be able to stop this.
12
like
damage showing at the moment. It was lethal with that Twilight Guardian. Now, quick shot. Could take
plus
out,
the 6 damage out of hand from Lugia as well.
But from Rek's perspective, you know, he's not quite dead yet. Now the question is, what's the best play here for him?
Yeah, and it's just, it's so, so hard to deal with this stuff. I mean, where do you start? Like, you can't kill the Twilight Guardian. If you kill the Imp Gang Boss, it makes another one. Yeah, just throw it on the high main and hope your opponent doesn't have 1 damage. I think it's worth a shot.
Yep.
If your opponent has any damage anyway, you're dead. Like, you're probably just dead, so.
Right. I like this play, and unfortunately, as you can see, the Dark Bomb will come out here. A little bit of BM there, tossing out the first Dark Bomb. I mean, even if he actually missed and hit the Dark Bomb onto the high main, I don't think there was a way that he would have died next turn anyway. So a pretty safe spot to BM if, you know, you really necessarily had to BM.
Yep, looks like Lugia ties up the series now, 1-1, if I'm not mistaken.
Indeed.
Pretty good showing so far, and yeah, most people would BM the Golden Hunter, huh? It's a pretty standard thing to do, I guess. But An interesting deck there, Dragon Warlock. It has seen play over the past few months, but it hasn't really been at the top of the meta competitively. But it's definitely out there. It's around. Some people playing it and experimenting with it. And yeah, a good showing from it there as it manages to beat one of the top tier decks, Midrange Hunter.
I'm surprised we haven't seen any face hunters so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Face Hunter definitely a popular deck, but then again, maybe some people aren't playing it because they know their games are going to be streamed and they don't want to be seen playing Face Hunter. But hey, man, I think you just got to man up, play the Face Hunter,
Yeah,
show
I mean,
these people that
there's
you're here to win.
there's actually no correlation between how difficult a deck is to play and how much it wins, right? So, really, you gotta have no shame. You just go for it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, I personally don't think there's anything wrong with playing Face Hunter. Oh, baby, we got a Shaman. I've been waiting for this, man. Let's see what kind of Shaman deck. Sir Crazy Ape. Wow, what a fitting name for the person they play Shaman.
Thank
Sir
you
Crazy
to
Ape has brought
Sir
Shaman.
Crazy Ape. And if we were
And-
royalty, we would definitely knight him.
We would. He's got a Gormok in his deck
Oh
and a
my
big game
gosh.
hunter. This
is
looks
this?
spicy.
What is this? And a warrior from Faisal, which usually we would say, oh great, it's a patron, but, actually now, even if it is a patron, it's a pretty refreshing deck to see.
It might still be a patron, even with something like Paladin Shredder or Dr. Boom. We're not sure at this point, I would say. But there's a good chance it's mid-range warrior or control or maybe even dragon. But we do see a Golden Sylvanas, as well as a Bash and an Acolyte of Pain, and an Armor Smith. I'd say there's a very good chance that this is just Control Warrior.
Although all those cards do show up in the new version of Patron. They add in the Piloted Shredders, the Sylvanas, Dr. Boom, Gromash is back in there, so, Bash, probably not, but still viable. Bash was in the Patron deck before it got nerfed, so there is
Yeah.
still hope, but likely you will just
Alright,
see
it's-
Control Warrior. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I think that's a clear sign that this is indeed Control Warrior. Maybe there's some patron elements to it. We have seen in the past some players have played hybrid, where they play some combo cards. Like they're playing Whirlwind anyway, and some people have Inner Rage for Grommash or for Acolyte, so sometimes they have patrons in there. But looks like this is the Control Warrior. Traditionally, this matchup has favored Shaman, but it really depends on what the players' decks are composed of, and it tends to go pretty long. Like the matchup is pretty drawn out usually, unless the Shaman can combo kill with a Wind Fury minion with Rockbiter weapon or something like that. But yeah, usually a skill-based matchup. Lots of decisions to be made.
Not a bad taunt totem here will prevent him from dying to a coin death spite or some kind of efficient way of dealing with that totem golem. So it looks like Faisal's just going to ignore that and go ahead and play out a Piloted Shredder.
Yeah. I think this is okay. I mean, saving the coin for your 6-drops would have been nice, but then again, you're against a Shaman. If you start to fall behind on board, there's a very good chance you'll just stay behind on board. So I like him trying to be proactive here. He's got Bash Execute to follow up if he wants to, or Acolyte Execute. I mean, I doubt he'll use Execute this next turn, but there's a good chance he'll use Bash or Acolyte, I guess. But I'd say probably a higher chance of Bash. It really depends, I guess. On Sir Crazy Ape's side, looks like he's deciding whether or not to play Shredder or Feral Spirits.
Yeah, if he's playing Feral Spirits, you'd expect to see the Earth Shock on the Shredder, possibly.
That does opt to just go face Death Spite. A great draw here, I would say, from Faisal What. Difficult choice to decide what to kill here, I think. Maybe you just kill off the Shredder with your Death Spite, hope something small comes out, and then finish it off with your Shredder.
Yeah, that's definitely potential.
I would kind of like that. Yeah, I mean, with this play, I feel like you want to trade shredders because if you don't, his shredder can kill your acolyte almost for free. I mean, it just costs him 1 damage on his shredder. Like, that's not that big of a deal. So I like to see the trade there with that line of play because or else you're just giving up your hero
Ooh.
Hammersmith. And wow, some pretty good death rattles there for Hazelwood, I would say, because you tend to just want to clear the board against Shaman, and those are two cards that do that really well. Bloodlust drawn from Sir Crazy Ape, a card that has risen in popularity as of late as a one of in a lot of Shaman decks.
Yeah, Sir Crazy Ape has the shaman where, you know, you just build up a board as much as possible, and then you go ahead and kill off your opponent. Now, Earthshock will kill off the Armorsmith. You can trade your ghoul into the sheep.
Yeah, that seems fine to me. Probably Earthshock first if you're going to do that. That way he gains
Right.
less armor. This might be a little bit of a misplay if he does end up Earthshocking.
Looks like, yeah, he's going to play the Tuskar and play another totem.
Okay.
I think, actually, in that case, it's a bit of a misplay. He should play a totem first, so there's a little bit less chance that he gets one of the vanilla totems.
Oh yeah, good point. Wait, but then again, I'm pretty sure Tusker Totemic can make the same totem because it's any
You are
random
right.
totem.
You are right.
But I mean,
Nope, you are correct there.
I'm just trying to think if the hero power order really matters there. If you hero power after the guy, because it might give you one of your hero power totems.
Well, it depends on what you want, right? But generally, the other totems are better than your hero power totems, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. But I was just thinking with Tusker Totemic, I guess you want to play the Tusker Totemic first because usually you don't want the same totem off your hero power.
Okay.
Like, you don't want 2 healing totems. You don't want... I mean, 2 spell power is good. I don't know. That's kind of a...
That's too much.
Yeah,
We're just going to
that's a
leave that
small
topic
thing to think
alone.
about. It really doesn't matter too much. But yeah, we did see an Acolyte of Pain come down with the Death Spite in play, which is good.
I like
Always
the fire
nice.
elemental here.
Yeah, the Fire Elemental seems strong. Cleans up what's left of the Acolyte and puts a 6/5 body onto the board, which might be dealt with by a Shield Slam. But as we know, Shield Slam is not yet seen in Faisalwood's hand.
Oh.
Wait, is he gonna go face?
What?
I mean, I guess if he does, he's just putting the armor lower so that it can't be outright shield slammed, and then Faisalwood can play a 5-drop. Then again, it leaves this Acolyte up to enable execute, so I feel like that's a bit of a misplay from Sir Crazy Ape.
And with this, he can also bash Accent if he wanted it, or if he has another Death Bite, use the Death Bite and the Acolyte to kill it off as well.
You don't really want to play a Sylvanas onto a board where it can just trade and die. Shield Maiden wouldn't be terrible here, but I feel like this is a good time to just use your weapon and your bash. He might just opt to execute into Piloted Shredder though, which is also nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say, in the other case, he's not building any board of his own, so the execute play would be the only one where he gets some kind of board up. He can also opt not to execute here. It trades well with the Shredder.
I feel like it's a bit risky to do that. Like, maybe a bit greedy, but it could pay off later on by saving this execute. Like, it's a bit greedy because something could happen to your Shredder, or you might not have the chance to trade with it next turn.
Yeah,
If it's
something
not-
could happen to your Shredder, but, you know, the execute, unless Sir Crazy Ape gets the healing totem, then he doesn't really have any problems with the execute.
But it still ends up being an extra 6 damage for free if he ends
That's
up...
true. That is
later.
definitely true.
I mean, As a warrior, that sometimes doesn't matter, but in this matchup, every point can really matter, especially when your opponent has Bloodlust and potentially other burst cards like Alakir and Rockbiter Weapon.
I'm really sad I didn't have my mouse clicked into the game, so I didn't get to hear the Manatide sound, which is by far my favorite sound in the whole game, just so you know.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, Manatide is refreshing, you know, it's like you just jumped in a pool or something. Yeah. Giving you some cards. Cards are nice.
Interesting sequencing there, unless he doesn't have, what's it called?
I think that was right, wasn't it?
No, he could have bashed
After
afterwards?
axing?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So he could have, for a shield slam.
I thought you meant just like with the piloted shredder, because
No.
yeah, he did it right where the shredder survives, but you're right, he could have had... Wait, no, the armor's the same, right?
No, because he... How much armor did he have to start?
Well, if he doesn't lose
Oh,
all
never
of his
mind.
armor...
Yes, you are right. Okay.
Yeah.
All good.
So, yeah, I mean, in the long term, I guess you want to get that sequencing proper, where most of the time you do want to armor after taking any damage. But wait, no. Hang on a sec. He's at 3 armor. He armored up.
And bashed. No, he lost his armor from bash.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. He could have
Yeah, you're
more
right with the
armor.
sequencing, I think.
He could have more armor here.
That was just a little weird, because he ends up with 3 armor after he just gained 2, so I was just thinking a little out of order there.
Yeah, he
but
was
yeah.
left at 1, and then the bash armor's all gone, so he could have kept some of that.
So basically what we're saying is, as a warrior, usually you want to take your damage, then armor up so you have maximum armor. But yeah, back into the game here, we do see an Emperor Theresen come down, as well as an armor up. Pretty strong play. Takes out the spell damage totem, which is usually advisable in this matchup, as the spell damage totem tends to be the most problematic. And a second Bloodlust. Wow. Wow. This is not where you want to have both Bloodlusts in your hand, though. This is why Bloodlust isn't played as much, because, in situations like this where you don't have a board to complement it, Bloodlust just does not do very much on its own. I mean, in fact, it doesn't do anything on its own. If you don't have any minions
You've
in
got
play.
totems.
It's got 1 totem to buff up, but that's really not good value. You want to have at least 3 things in play when you Bloodlust for it to be like of even value.
Yeah, I think here you just have to Earth Shock and Lightning Storm.
But that doesn't even kill the Theresen.
Oh, he's
It's
not
like he-
going to Lightning Storm. Okay.
Yeah, he just Earth Shocks to turn off this end of turn effect on Theresen, and you don't feel good about this as a shaman. I mean, this is a battle of attrition against warrior, and Bloodlusts are not very attrition-y cards. Those are cards to end the game when you're already like ahead on board. You already have minions in play. And unfortunately, warrior just doesn't allow you to do that a lot of the time. So I would say those Bloodlusts being in his deck make this matchup a lot worse than it would normally be, because warrior can deal with a lot of the board a lot of the time, and when you have Bloodlusts, you really want to have stuff in play. So, but then again, it's definitely unfortunate to see both for Sir Crazy Ape. I mean, he's still in like the top 13 cards of his deck, so yeah.
I mean, I think we both disagree with having 2 Bloodlusts in the first place, right? So it is unlucky that he drew both of them, but, we're kind of like, he shouldn't have them there in the first place.
I mean, it's an interesting choice. Like, playing in these tournaments, you can definitely catch people off guard. Like, maybe he has 2 because he really wants to draw 1. So, like, oftentimes when you really, really want to draw the first card, you just play both. That way you guarantee that you draw at least 1 during the game. But maybe his deck is more of a death rattle deck, and he wanted to have more of a board at the start of the game. We see a Haunted Creeper now. He didn't see one at the start. So maybe he's got more cards that he could have played early game that he just didn't see.
I think just from seeing everything that he's played so far, this deck is a little
Greetings, friend.
it's a little trying to do too many things at the same time, right? Like, he has 2 Bloodlust and the Gormok, which immediately to me says, okay, you want to build a board presence and buff everything up and go face, right? But the problem is, you know, he also has BGH, also has Lightning Storm, so these are reactive cards.
Yeah.
And as you can see here, you know, he's not really able to do either thing because, you know, he just has the Bloodlust. He doesn't have enough creatures on board for them to really work out because he has that Lightning Storm, he has the BGH. And as a shaman, you know, I don't necessarily see that you have to run a BGH if you have hexes instead.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's a more efficient way of dealing with your opponent's cards. You know, it could deal with the Ysera, it's not just situational.
Right. And yeah, with the Ysera in play, this is a brutal board state for Sir Crazy Ape as he greeted his opponent last turn after floating 6 mana. Definitely not where you want to be. 4 cards in your hand. You float 6 mana. I wonder what Basilwood is thinking. Like, what is in his hand for him to float 6 mana and do nothing?
Hey, he's the control warrior, so he is perfectly happy with... Oh man, and the Thunder Bluff finally coming out. You know, he's had a few turns where he's got that 1 totem lying around, and then having enough mana to get another guy out, but unfortunately...
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like this is too little too late here as this Ysera is going to stay in play for another turn, and you really feel bad about leaving Ysera in play as any deck because the cards she gives you are just so powerful, so destructive. Besides Laughing Sister, of course, which we do see one in play now. But
hey, it's still, you know, it's a free minion that you can play.
Mm.
Which, especially
she,
as you get to late game, you know, that's nothing to laugh at.
Yeah, she's strong in the right situations, of course. When your opponent has no minions, they can't target her. But yeah, we do see the Justicar Trueheart drawn. I would just like to see a Hero Power Justicar into another Hero Power here. Just tank up as much as possible. Make sure you don't die to random burst. And you've already got a lot of win conditions in play. No reason to play the Sylvanas here. I like this play from Faisalwut. Tank it up, man.
Yeah, you don't want something like Elemental Destruction to deal with your Sylvanas, right? So.
That would be a possible card here. You know, maybe he's considering that. Elemental Destruction, you know, when your opponent had so much mana and didn't play anything, that is definitely something that could have been in his hand.
You know, he's got a Lava Shock, which makes me feel like he might have an Elemental Destruction, but let's see here. Well, that's a lot of armor.
Yeah, that was actually some unfortunate RNG, wasn't it? On the Lightning Storm? That wasn't the worst. He got 4 on the Armor Smith. He didn't get a 4 on the Theracin, so he ends up Lava Shocking it. Either way, he's in a really, really tough spot here. I like Alexstrasza this turn.
Yeah, just keep pushing damage.
Yeah, you've got Ysera Awakens for next turn. There's a very good chance you just kill your opponent the following turn. Like, any damage you do without playing Alexstrasza first kind of feels wasted.
Yep, for sure.
Killing off the spell damage totem's also fine, just to be sure. You know, like, you're in such a good spot. You don't want to risk anything possibly going wrong, so I like Faisalwut's patience here. He has no reason to rush this. Just chill and guarantee the win.
Hearthstone and chill.
I guess that's one way to put it for Faisalwut here. Although Sir Crazy Ape, I don't think he's down at this point, as he has already said. Well played. I think he knows he's dead. He's just looking for a miracle.
Oh, that...
Taunt Totem!
No, it doesn't. There's a Shield Slam.
Yeah, Taunt Totem... Well, it isn't lethal,
Oh, actually, never mind. Ysera Awakens deals with it anyway. But
yeah,
if it didn't, the Shield Slam takes...
I mean, this is one-off. One-off lethal.
Okay.
Is this the best BM I've ever seen? What's the point? He could have just shield slammed, but instead he chooses to Nightmare, Big Game Hunter, and greet his opponent. Tank up, Shield Maiden, and then is he gonna dream his Big Game Hunter? I think he's gonna dream his Big Game Hunter.
No, there's no point.
Okay, he's not going for the 10 out of 10 BM. He's got the 9 out of 10 though, as of now. So Crazy Ape is not letting up though. He will not concede this game. You know.
Lightning Storm plus Rockbiter onto the Shield Maiden.
Bloodlust looks good here. I think he's gonna go for the Bloodlust. Come on, you gotta do it at this point. It's a Crazy Ape. Oh, okay, he's just
No, he's
gonna
not.
rock biter face.
He's not technically dead yet, right? So he can kill off the Shield Maiden here.
You're right. Okay, well, yeah, now he's technically dead because of Dr. Boom Boom bots. But man, Sir Crazy Ape just had to make his last statement there. The 3 damage to face. You know.
It's still not lethal, so clearly he should play Dr. Boom.
What? It is.
It's the same as before, right? He used the Nightmare onto the BGH, so...
The boom bots blow up from your Sarah.
Oh, yes, okay, I see.
Yeah, no problem. He doesn't even need to attack with your Sarah. Well played.
That is excellent BM.
Yeah, I'd still rate that a 9 out of 10. He didn't use the dream, but definitely a fun game. That was not what Sir Crazy Ape wanted to see. Those double bloodlusts.
You know, this is what happens. We're like, hey, you know, let's get the shaman out. Let's get the shaman out, and this is what happens.
You know what? I mean, I still believe in shaman. It's gonna have its time to shine here eventually. But we do see Fazelwood take that win. That's a 2-1 lead for University of California, Irvine, over Harvey Mud College, also known as the Mud Elementals. We'll see if they can bring it back in these next couple of games, or if Ziggy D can take it home for his team. We might just have another 3-1 series, or...
I mean, that is the average, right?
Yeah,
so.
That seems like the most common thing happening here. Not too many shutouts, and not too many.
I think the first week we actually saw 3 O's and 3 2's every night.
Mm-hmm.
But then I guess now things have kind of defaulted to a more average sort of thing here, just getting the 3 1's in.
Yep. Still hoping to see a rogue. I mean, we've seen a shaman tonight. Now the next goal is to see a rogue, but I doubt it'll happen. There's a lot of good top tier decks and classes left to play, so I don't think anyone's gonna risk going with rogue unless they really feel like they are a master of rogue.
People at BlitzCon are playing rogue. Rogue is totally viable.
It is viable. It's difficult. It's in a tough spot right now, I think, in the meta. And, you know, why play something complicated like Rogue when you can break out the Face Hunter? I mean, Face Hunter still has its difficult decisions, don't get me wrong. But Rogue, I feel like there's so many complex things that you have to consider when you're playing Rogue. And sometimes you just get your whole hand full of spells and you don't draw any minions, as we've seen happen to a few people.
Wait. Ziggy D. Are you not spectating yet? Oh my god, you need to be here.
Alright.
You need to be here right now.
Players are in game.
You need to be here right now.
Is it a rogue?
I'm
guessing it's a rogue.
Get in here.
Is it a rogue versus
Get in here.
Alright, we've got a golden rogue, Ziggy D. He wants to close this game out for his team. He cues it up into the Paladin. I think this is exactly what he wants to see as a rogue player. You know, because traditionally this does favor the rogue, and it does seem like a secret Paladin, which is a little bit more difficult for rogue, but still, I think... wait, a spider tank? Is this mech rogue? I'm excited to see what the rest of this deck looks like. And the spider tank's not golden, but the rest is. So I like the all gold theme we've got going on right now. Secret Keeper coming down, but no secrets to follow it up. It's just going to be a Knife Juggler into trade. So that is, Knife Juggler doesn't die straight up to a Loot Hoarder. A second Loot Hoarder. Wow. This is an interesting deck. I am not sure what to make of this yet. Maybe Maybe Spider Tank is just a 3-drop just to be a 3-drop? Maybe he's
Well, if
not
it's
playing it
just
with
a
max?
3-drop, you might as well play one of the light or dark Banes. Given that he has so many golden cards, I kind of expect Ziggy to be able to afford that.
Hmm. That's true. I mean, maybe he does have some mech synergy in here somewhere if he's not playing Idis or Fiola.
I think here you just go face, right? Your opponent wants to kill off your knife juggler anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say definitely go face, pressure him with the damage. Let him make that trade. Yeah, you're the one. You're the one applying the pressure here. You man up, make your opponent trade into you. Blade Flurry drawn here, though, for Ziggy D. A nice board clear, along with 3 damage to the face. He's already at 21, but things are looking okay for him. Tinker's Sharp Sword Oil is not exactly what he wants to have 2 of right now, but the rest of his hand and current board state is okay so far.
I don't think we've really seen the interaction of Mysterious Challenger with Rogue so much. You kind of have the standard responses from certain classes. Like, for example, if you're playing against mid-range, you have an Aldor and you hope for the Avenge going onto the Mysterious Challenger so you can deal with it. Other classes like Mage, you can Fireball the Mysterious Challenger and then ping the 6/1 that comes back. There's just sort of the typical responses, but as a rogue, you're like, what exactly do you do here?
And wow, I mean, the second Mysterious Challenger drawn, so it's like a no-brainer to coin this first one. Hope some of your secrets get procced and then play the second one next turn. That's just brutal. Rogue does have sap, like Ziggy D has a sap here, and this is a pretty good sap target, but then again, it's just going to get some more secrets, most likely.
Well, if he doesn't proc too many, right? Like, there's nothing to avenge. There's only the Noble Sack guy to be redemption. So let's say he saps this. He can Hero Power, kill off the Noble Sack guy.
Yep.
And,
Straight up sap and do nothing does seem like the right call here. I agree.
Well, is do nothing? He could go for the Noble Sack, right? Get the 3 damage onto face. Does still have 2 mana, so he could play the South Sea as well to kill off the other half of that. So
I was just thinking, if he actually went like super aggro and played South Sea Prep, Tinker Sharp Sword Oil, I guess there's still that other piece of Noble Sacrifice left in play, and your opponent's about to get the other Noble Sacrifice, so I guess I want to be too efficient, but there's just something that popped up in my head for a second. I mean, he does have a lot of damage in his hand. It's just a matter of whether he'll be able to close out the game.
Surprising.
I think it's the way to apply the most pressure. Instead of just another 6/6, your opponent might have another sap. Just diversify your threats, get as much damage as possible onto Ziggy D's face, and hope to close out the game soon.
That's fair. It's just that moment of you have Mysterious Challenger? You have 2 Mysterious Challengers and you're not playing Mysterious Challenger?
But he does already have 2 secrets in play, so
yeah.
I can definitely respect holding on to them. Alright, looks like now the preparation is going to come out in a Tinker Sharp Sword Oil into Deadly Poison into face. I like it. This is setting up a pretty high chance of lethal. I would say this is like a 70%, 75%,
nice.
depending on the deck.
Gets the backstab as well for the knife. Oh, that procs Avenge, but
it's still a good trade-off because the knives off Knife Juggler are no longer in play.
Right, you have the 5/1 there, right? You want him to at least throw a minion. Oh, I guess Consecrate works too, but...
But I think this really comes down to Ziggy D's next couple of draws here. He's got a Fan of Knives to cycle. Will he get an Eviscerate, a Deadly Poison, perhaps another Southsea deckhand? There's a lot of ways he could hit lethal here. I think it all comes down to this draw.
Well, the last secret is competitive. He doesn't know if it's Noble Sack, right? But he just dies here otherwise.
Oh, wait.
So you fan, you tinker, and then you hit him in the face.
Of course, yeah, he's got Tinker Sharp Swordle in his hand already. I mean, you have to go for it,
Or
right?
you fan, maybe if you get a sap, you want to do that instead, but or you have a South Sea to hit the Noble Sack, but now you're just like, it's Noble Sack, you don't make it, and Ziggy D taking it home for UC Irvine with the Rogue. We saw Shaman and we saw Rogue today, so
I'm happy. Yeah.
this is
and
a good day.
like I was saying, it's got to be someone who's comfortable with Rogue, a master of Rogue. He did have the Golden Rogue. He did have a lot of golden cards. And even though I missed that second oil in his hand there. I mean, I thought he played it for whatever reason, but yeah, definitely showing his experience with the deck there, going for that lethal to turn earlier by setting it up with South Sea Deckhand, Tinker Sharp Sword Oil. He realized that he had to put his opponent on the clock right now. He needed to finish the game, put him under maximum pressure. And I like the way he played that. Definitely paid off, as he did have the other oil, of course, to finish his opponent. So well played by Ziggy D, taking it home, like you said.
Yeah, the only thing there is if his opponent had a Noble Sacrifice in hand, but it actually worked out because he saw that his opponent only got 4 secrets on his head, right? So potentially, he saw the Redemption, he saw the Repentance and all that, so chances are, generally they don't skimp out on a competitive spirit, so he could have possibly guessed that it was a competitive spirit, but just making sure, like, if he gets a South Sea deckhand, he gets a guaranteed lethal, right? So you just want to play that as safe as you can, and then it's your do or die moment.
Exactly. Yep, so once again, 3-1 series taken by UC Irvine. Yeah, that was good. Well played by all players. Both series tonight. Had a lot of fun and saw both Shaman and Rogue in this last one, like we said. So that's pretty awesome. Very happy about that. And yep, we'd like to thank everybody for watching. Hope you guys all enjoyed these games that we have just watched here. Some exciting games. Hope to see you guys back on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, I believe. We're going to have some more series. And just a heads up, the week after next week, we will have the week off as we prepare for playoffs, I believe.
Yeah, and just to give you guys a quick update, so far we've got Georgia Institute of Technology, McGill, Princeton, St. John's, Penn State, and University of Michigan still undefeated. So those are the schools to watch out for. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see any of them tonight. So none of these schools, unfortunately, have a perfect record. But, things still have 2 weeks. Anything could happen. And we'll definitely update you on the scores, next week.
Yep. Once again, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Blizzard and Twitch. And I am Nomodogan, at Root Nomodogan on Twitter, as you can see on the screen. And Lucia, would you like to make any other shout-outs or anything?
Sure. And you can also find me on Twitter and Twitch at Lucia Fireball. And, yeah. That is all we have for you tonight, folks. Have a good night and have a good weekend.